So where are you dialing in from right now?
New York.
New York.
I'm having my first WeWork experiences here.
How's it been?
I don't know, it's interesting. It's like people are buying too strongly into the whole thing, being all cool, working remotely. Hi, everyone. Hi, Fabiola. I don't believe we've met before.
No, we've not met. Hi, Stefan.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I met Fabiola last week, so maybe we can do a round of just quick check-ins to know. So Fabiola is one of the latest graduates.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be
Hello.
in the team.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Good.
Wow, we've got Mike too and Jashan. And am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Jashan?
Yeah, Jashan. Boot campers call me JP.
JP. JP.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a famous snowboarder, I think not professional anymore, but he was JP Walker. He's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. And yes, I am a recent graduate too.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Rachel. How you
So
doing?
Michael McCausland is my fellow boot camper from Teacher Boot Camp, August 2016. Oh, this is so exciting. We have such a big range of cross-cohort interweaving today. This is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think to maximize the time, maybe we should, with the people who are already on the call, we should just kind of do a quick check-in. Each of us, we just say our names, our boot camp, and maybe our area of passion or work or whatever, wherever we have the most energy. Which could be work, it could be something else, depending on how well we have the work-life balance. And then, Pavel, how long do you want to be, how much time do you want to occupy with the presentation?
So I think actual presentation is going to be really short. It's probably like 5 or 7 minutes tops.
Oh, okay.
So we can spend as much time sort of socializing as we can.
Okay. So shall we do the talking stick method so that someone does an intro and then passes on to someone else, or do you want? Yeah, that's maybe more fun because there's a bit of randomness. But then I'll just keep an eye and check like who spoke and who didn't, because when people then sign in, then we lose count of who spoke. Yeah. So maybe I'll launch. Or do you want to say, you start, Pavel?
Yeah, so I'm from class 1, and I think over the years, so after we had entrepreneurship bootcamp class 1 in 2014, and over the years we sort of became back as an alumni in 2015 and 2016. And I've been meeting a lot of boot campers, and I think the Alumni Radar application that's I'm about to show, it's really based on my, was built to sort of fit my own needs. As anytime I was traveling somewhere, I was going to group or asking Andrew or somebody else, like who's living in a certain location. I want to know those people, and some of them I might know, and just don't know where they live now, and some of them might have moved there. So that's certainly been a problem, and I felt a little bit bad just asking like real people with help each time I travel somewhere. So I decided to build a database that shows where you're at, and also shows sends notifications to people. So if I'll show that in more detail after the check-ins. And yeah, so great to see you all here. Thank you for attending. And who's next? Off to Guillermo.
Thank you, Pavel. Hello, everyone. I'm Guillermo Esparza, Memo, and I was in the bootcamp of 2019 in Brisbane of innovation and entrepreneurship. And my work develops mostly on design and product strategy. I don't know what else. I've come from Mexico, and I've talked with Pavel a couple of times before, and I knew about this project, so I'm really excited about what's the final rollout. I guess it's me to choose. I choose United.
Hey Memo, how are you? Thank you for the
Hello,
intro and loving the hair. I'm Junaid, and same cohort as Memo. So this is Brisbane 2019, and I am originally from Pakistan, recently relocated to Singapore, and I have been working primarily in the startup ecosystem side. So that's like accelerators and incubator, and something similar, exploring the startup ecosystem over here in Singapore.
Cool.
So yeah. And over to the next person in the list. How are we doing this?
Just
Random, yeah.
Just pick a random name.
Oh, okay. So this could be Michael.
Okay. So Michael McCausland, I live in Colorado Springs, just south of Denver, Colorado. I'm the CEO of the Leadership Institute for Entrepreneurs. It's one of the 4 companies I'm running right now. I was in boot camp 4 in Boston, and then the teachers boot camp right after that, back to back. And so we focus on entrepreneurship ecosystems, and we've launched in 10 locations just in the last 16 months, probably, all over the world. And in addition to the ecosystem development, we do a lot with entrepreneurs in training programs. So we've got a suite of online courses trying to find the best stuff in the world. The MIT course is one of them that we teach, and also an operations course based on the book Scaling Up by Vern Harnish, which is some of the best operations stuff in the world. And so we help entrepreneurs, we connect and also equip investors, because just because people have money doesn't mean they understand how to invest wisely. So we do the connecting and equipping of entrepreneurs, local coaches, and investors in ecosystems all over the world. Stefan.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone else so far. I'm Stefan from Class 3. I did my MIT Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp in South Korea. I'm an aerospace engineer, and right now I'm working for a startup in the space industry. We're right in the middle between seed stage and Series A. What I do is I do a bit of everything. Since it's a startup, I have a business role, but I also have an engineering role. Mostly on the application side, where I teach people how to design with our tool. We've built a tool with which you can do agile hardware design. So satellites, rockets, nuclear fusion reactors, and so forth. These are the types of clients we have. Right now I'm in New York and traveling a bit around the US. So if anyone is in Washington, DC, in the upcoming weeks, or in Austin, or in Munich, or wants to drop by Lisbon, just let me know. So who else do I see here that I don't know yet? Well, Fabiola, we just met, so I'm curious to hear more.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan, for introducing me. I'm Fabiola, and I'm from Rwanda. I was from the Sports Entrepreneurship Bootcamp in Germany in September, and I'm currently a flight operator at Zipline. It's also a startup, but it's been there for like 5 years now. And we deliver medical products and blood to different hospitals using drones. So I'm a flight operator, and I'm in charge of trainings. And yes, I'm a sports enthusiast, and I'm currently working on a startup about sports. So it is very small, but yeah, I believe I'm going to make it. And over next to Giovanni.
Hello, everyone. I'm Giovanni, originally from Italy. I live in Spain, close to Pyrenees, and I'm happy to join the to be here. And I will pass to.
Can you tell us your class, which boot camp?
I'm from Bootcamp 7 in Brisbane of last year.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Who do you pass the talking stick to?
I will pass to Tommaso.
Hello, what's happened? What are you going to pass?
Tommaso, we're doing intros. I'm going to post. Okay, so we're doing intros. Everyone says their where they're from, which boot camp, area of interest. So I've posted everyone who's spoken, and then you pass the talking stick to someone.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so my name is Tommaso. Just arrived. I'm calling from Rotterdam, where I manage in two companies which are doing sort of similarities. So they're about communities, and one is about waste management, but engaging the citizen. The other is about student interaction, connecting students with some local community. Could be co-working spaces or school. That's my job. So I went to the boot camp in Brisbane 2 years ago, but it looks like centuries. And after I start to play with Rachel, and this brainstorming, these nights became what we are doing today. So this community, which is every day more important. And I came back recently from Boston when I went to my second boot camp, the scaling, because some of my two companies start to show some scaling signal. Good for me, not very good for my sleeping patterns. And I just bring back the news that the boot camps there, the people, they are becoming more and more aware of the importance of the community. And so I think that we are more and more and more important, because I always thought that the best part of the boot camp it is this. It is the fact that we have this conversation. So I pass the mic to Stefan, that I saw somewhere.
Stefan spoke already.
Yes, I did. But you know me, Tommaso, so you didn't miss much.
You could say it again, Stefan, maybe quickly, because some people haven't heard.
Okay.
To go round and round.
So very quickly, I'm Stefan from Class 3. I'm an aerospace engineer currently working for a startup, which is also known as the GitHub for hardware. So it's all about agile hardware design. We built a tool to do so. That's it in short. So the next
okay,
person,
because we have. I am also posting into the chat. Let's give the mic to someone who hasn't spoken yet. Altaf, you're saying hi in the chat, so why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Altaf. I've been the part of bootcamp at MIT Cambridge. I'm working at Sakhar IBA University. I'm heading the training wing and training and consultancy wing. So far, I've been trained more than 10,000 people in last 3 years here and done around 10 consultancy projects. This is just a simple intro to me.
And where are you connecting from, Altaf?
I'm at this moment from Pakistan, Sakhar.
Okay, maybe I'll just jump in and help a bit because not everyone. So who hasn't spoken? Gagan, right? You haven't introduced yourself.
Me.
Yeah. Hi, hello everyone. This is Gagan joining from Bangalore, India. I work as an engineer for one of the companies in a project and portfolio management company. I'm also experimenting with an idea which I have, which is automating personal finance. I went to the Brisbane 2019 bootcamp. We are like around 4 of us, I think, here now from the same cohort. That's it. I also help Rachel run the Asian time zone calls. We have done that last week. So that's about me. Hello. I'll pass it on to JP.
Hi. So I attended MIT bootcamp in Brisbane 2019, and I just graduated from computer science engineering and working here as a software engineer in Chai Point. It is a startup for food and beverages industry. I'm working there as a software engineer itself. That's pretty short.
Short and sweet. Who hasn't spoken? Gabrielle, are you able to speak or are you just listening in? Are you able to unmute and say hi? Because we haven't seen you yet. And Joel? Some people maybe are just listening in.
Yeah, Joel, I'm here.
Hi, Joel.
Hi, I'm Joel from Puerto Rico, a Caribbean island, part of the U.S. I went to MIT Harvard Medical School Healthcare Innovation Bootcamp the last summer. I'm a neuroscientist. I'm working with virtual reality, creating a solution for ADHD students, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, trying to helping them, creating a virtual control space to train attention span with virtual reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Gabrielle, would you like to introduce yourself? Are you able to speak? I haven't seen you unmute yet. Oh, there you are.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Sorry, I was on the cell phone, so I just connected to a Wi-Fi. Now it's good. I'm Gabriel. I'm from class 4, the entrepreneurship bootcamp. I'm located in Brazil, and my main interests are I'm an innovation passionate, and anything that helps people save time and helps the environment as well. So those are my main interests. And currently, I've been working with building data centers in Brazil. And a couple months ago, I actually closed my startup. I had it for 2.5 years. It was a online grocery store that delivered groceries in minutes to the community here. So we had a partnership with Walmart, and now I'm actually giving some time to actually breathe some fresh air and maybe work on something else. So yeah.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Oh, we have Charlotte. Charlotte, hi.
Hi.
Charlotte, hello. Good to almost see you. We were doing quick intros of everyone.
Not any lighting where I am.
Okay. Are you in a tent?
No, but a very dark room.
Oh, okay. Do you want to say a few words of intro, just where you're dialing in from and which class you attended? Because I don't know whether you're seeing everyone. There's about 15 people on the call, and we're just closing a round of intros before Pavel presents his project to us.
Great. Yeah. My name is Charlotte. I was MIT bootcamp class, bootcamp number 4 in August 2016. And I'm dialing in from Nairobi, Kenya, where I run a social enterprise focused on employment to education programs. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that's everyone. I'll just say 2 quick words. My name is Rachel Hench. I was in class 3 in South Korea, Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp. And then I also attended class 4 as an observer. And straight after that, I did the teacher training bootcamp with Mike. So Stefan is my cohort buddy, and Mike is my teacher bootcamp buddy. And my passion is connecting dots. So that ranges from handling communications to make a system see and sense itself. And that spans all the way across to community building. And one of my, I just have this vision of what this community could be and how we could be collaborating in the future. So this is the reason that I've been at this since 2016. And thank you. Thank you all for joining. And now I'm going to hand it over to Pavel, who is going to tell us about his amazing project.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. Should I have a button to share the screen?
Yes. So if you hover your mouse at the bottom of the window, there's a green box with an arrow pointing upwards.
Ah, thank you. I didn't realize the screen.
Thank you. Go into screen share.
Okay, I think it's working.
Yeah.
So I'll say a couple of words about what is it, why I'm building this, and sort of what was the history of this. So I built this Alumni Radar. It's an application designed to meet people, especially when traveling. And I mean, as you can see, we all sort of spread around the world. And I think the most amount of meeting people happens usually when traveling, just by naturally. And I used to ask people who does they know, like in each location where I was going to. And I think there have been like two issues with current with existing tools and existing communities that I was struggling with. One is not everyone has time to participate actively in online communities, in Facebook groups and mighty networks. And at the same time, there have been a few attempts to create a spreadsheet, and there's been also a ZMap created by Yoni. But they had different problems, so nobody really updated them. Once people sign up for that list, it just becomes out of date in 6 months or so. So I wanted to build an application that allows to find other boot campers in any location of the world, and also to contact them as easy as possible. So hopefully you should be able to see my screen. If you can, just let me know. And like on my screen, the parts of Zoom that overlap the browser, like are you able to see my browser, or it overlaps for you as well?
Well, we can each move. If we click and drag the window with the faces, we can actually individually move the gallery of participants.
Right, but the window I see on my computer doesn't affect that.
Oh, and then the recording, well, I will have different versions of the recording, so I can actually then cut out a clean one where there's no faces and just your screen. So don't worry about that for future. But for those who are...
That's fine, but you can see it now. Awesome.
Yeah, so if someone wants to just drag and move around the parts that are obstructing the view, that you can do that individually.
Right, awesome, thanks. And so the way this works is every time you log in the application, it asks where you are. It does its best to try to detect where you are, and there's always an option to set up to sort of try to say that's not the location, then try to detect it instead of by internet location, by geolocation. But the most important bit, so every time you log in, you ask to confirm whether the place you're in, whether you live there or whether you're traveling there. And the way it works, if you're just traveling, it marks automatically in the application that you in that traveling location where you're traveling for a certain period of time, which you can enter, and also notifies people who are there if you haven't told them before. And if you choose based, it's also able to tell if that's a place where you used to live or where they moved, and so on. So once inside the application, it has like the main component of this is being able to search by location. By default, that's my default location. And it shows everyone, so it opens up a map to show at least 5 closest boot campers. And it splits the list by people who are traveling in any of those displayed locations, and also people who live there. So you could browse, you could see how far they are from yourself. And although it's possible to navigate with the map, like the main way to navigate here is really search. So it would have autocomplete, which doesn't actually always work perfectly. But let's say we put in Oxford, and then we get a list of boot campers in Oxford and close by. And that's essential. So one feature it has, it also has profiles, and the profile is designed to provide contact information as upfront as possible. So that's like really the main point of this application, was to make a database where we could find people and contact them and start being in touch and approach them. As for profiles themselves, there's an option to edit the profile, which has really some basic information. The important part here is a schedule a trip button. So what it allows to do is to put in a certain location name and enter dates for the trip. And once it's submitted, it would automatically send emails to people in the location that you enter. So, well, some of them, so some users in the database don't have up-to-date emails, so it's not exactly all-encompassing. But to ones who have emails, it will send the notifications. So another thing which I think is kind of challenging, and I wanted to ask for help there. So I noticed that in the spreadsheets that like even official bootcamp spreadsheet, the problem is everyone, when asked to complete a summary or tell a couple of words, sticks to very generic terms that are nearly useless for to understand who this person is, what you're doing really. So I tried to close this gap a little. So there's a thing called occupation, which tries to separate users, separate profiles by the groups that I felt made sense to me. So some people still studying or studying again. Some work in professional careers and not really actively engaged in entrepreneurship, or some are self-employed and looking to sort of keep it self-employed. Some are entrepreneurs who either starting a startup or running a successful startup. So I felt that might be useful in the profiles. But other than that, I don't want to make it long. So it's the essential functionality of the application is to be able to find other boot campers in any location in the world, and also keep your location up to date and communicate it to other boot campers as easy as possible. What else? So I think that's all about the application. One more thing, I'm inviting people sort of slowly to resolve any issues with applications. So a few already been fixed. And if you'd like to become a user, just let me know. If I haven't sent you an invite, contact me on Facebook or Mighty Networks or by email, any suitable way, and I'll set you up an account, and would love to hear any feedback. So I think that's the most important bit. In terms of, I understand we still have some time on this call, so what I was hoping is if you could maybe brainstorm a little, not in a formal way, but sort of discuss whether this makes sense, whether you feel something should be added here or removed from this application. What's sort of your take on how would you like to see the profiles structured? And yeah, so that would be awesome. And thank you all for being on this call and attending it.
How do we get access to the software?
So I wanted to send you an email, but you said that you're not sharing your email on Mighty Networks. So just send me your email privately, and I'll actually post my email here in chat so that you could write an email directly. But there's also a second kind of part to that question, which I wanted to ask how possibly. So I don't currently have a way to know who was a boot camper and who wasn't. So I'm not sure, like, if any of you know if there's a way to sort of validate or get access to yearbooks and know who went to certain classes, because there's like not a lot, but some amount of sensitive information in this application. I want it to be sort of closed down to the community as much as possible. So if any of you have ideas how to verify if a certain person went to the bootcamp or not, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so so actually reaching all the alumni and being able to verify the identities is one of the main just logistical challenges, and it's one I've been struggling with as well. And so what I usually do to decide whether someone is actually a boot camper is that, well, I assume that if someone comes to know about the network, it's through word of mouth, and one of the channels that are our so-called safe channels. So it's the Facebook group. And then usually what I do is I do a cross-check on the Facebook group in the members, but sometimes people are not on there. So I look on LinkedIn and I look at their connections, but it's not foolproof. So somebody could infiltrate if they played their cards right. So I guess it's also based on just good faith of people, and being correct and honest. And I'm just assuming people won't be giving away the link to someone who's not supposed to have it. But I think it is an issue, and it would be great if we could design a proper process to just ensure that we are maintaining a so-called safe space, because as the community grows, it'll be more and more difficult to actually monitor, in the sense that, when there were 3 or 4 or 5 classes, we more or less knew each other. Now that we're almost 1,100 graduates from boot camps, it does become quite difficult, in fact, and one of the things is that we've never actually ever been able to have a complete list. So we just have fragments of lists of the communities based on, how people are communicating and how they can actually share addresses. So it's Pavel, would you like to stop the screen share so we actually go back into gallery view?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry about that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel. I would like something to say to Pavel first. Congratulations. This is great, man. I mean, this is really good, and I think that one of the tools that may keep this community thriving a long time. So I think this is great. So congratulations. And I have some thoughts about this privacy issue. Probably if you can have like a picker that you have a drop down and you choose which bootcamp you assisted, and in order to be verified, you have to upload your diploma that they gave you when you graduate. So when you do that, your profile has this verification badge or something like that. So we know like who is a true boot camper and who's not, and it's really easy to spot. But it's but great project, and I'd love to see like some social integrations with some social media, but that's another thing. I think for now I think it's perfect. Great.
Thank you, Mima. The social integrations have actually been probably like on top of the backlog when I was starting this. The problem is the majority of them now closing down the data. So my initial idea was like anytime you check in, post an Instagram picture, it knows where you are, and you're able to share, give your consent to share this information. Unfortunately, right now, as far as I recall, only Twitter allows to do that, and not that many people geotag their tweets, and not that many people on Twitter, unfortunately. So it's kind of been pushed back. But that's certainly something that would be very interesting. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joan. I'm from Barcelona. Great project, Pavel. Thank you for doing it. My idea would be, why not creating a QR code so we can pass each other to enter this platform? Wouldn't that be an option? So
I think definitely, yeah. Thank you.
Each boot camper should pass to another boot camper this QR code. And if you have this QR code, we are sure that we are boot campers.
Yeah, some sort of recommendation system. Yeah,
this is one option. Thank you for all what you've been doing.
Hey, Pavel, it's Gabriel.
Hey, yeah. How's the trip?
I was good, man. I got back last month. It was good.
Yeah.
Hey, I know that every boot camper, they have a digital certificate from MIT. It's a blockchain code that, maybe if you talk with,
Is it still alive? Because I asked David who created that, and he told me like it's no longer exists.
Oh, okay. Well, I checked mine. It's still active, so I'm not sure if everyone
okay,
else.
I'll try to get someone from the team. Thank you.
Oh.
So when Memo, when you were saying the diploma, were you actually saying a picture of the certificate?
Yes, a picture of your certificate. Yeah. I mean, they send it to you in digital. I don't think that many people that just throw it away.
I think I only have a paper one.
Me too. I only have a paper one.
But I mean, you can either take a picture of that or use a digital version of it. I mean, in the worst case scenario is that you contact these guys and they will send it to you with no problem. I'm sure that. I mean, my point is that it's easy to confirm your identity in that way, because I mean, if you have one of those, like, it's kind of obvious that you were there. Actually, now that you say it, probably would be like more authentic if it's a physical photo of it. Anyway, because I mean, you could edit in Photoshop some. Well, yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, if we are not, if we are like taking care of every possibility of a safety breach, I'm just thoughts for a very low tech solution of that.
Thanks, Mima. And if I can sort of ask, I'd like to take a sort of opportunity to just hear the discussion. I think we discussed in a great detail the privacy things, and that's been great. But what I would be very interested to hear or discuss is how do you think like the profiles should be structured? Is there anything in particular that, for example, you wanted to find some alumni and not by name, but by what they do, and is there something that you wasn't able to do with existing tools, where you think this database could be helpful, or made to be helpful?
So I have some inputs there. So in the last call where we were actually talking about the association, we actually went into these breakout rooms where we were discussing with couple of others, where they were actually looking for help from the community. they wanted to reach out to a person who has specific skill set so that they can get some help from that specific person. So that is when we spoke about it in the call, and I got to know about this app you are developing from Rachel, so which led to this call. So I think something similar to what Mighty Networks already does. It actually asks for your specialization or the field of work. That and what kind of expertise does one possess, and they are open for like helping each other out, right? So they can actually just list some expertise and say, okay, anyone can reach me out for any help in these fields. So something like that is what I was thinking, because we all are here from different countries with different expertise, and we have all these skills, but we are not leveraging it. We are not taking help from each other on whatever we are trying to do. I think that information would be very crucial here.
Yes, and I mean that's kind of what I'm trying to solve. And you're right. Like, Mighty Networks might be a better place to solve that. So I'm looking right now at Mighty Networks, and I can't figure out. Right. So I don't mean to be personal, but I'm opening Rachel's profile. It says enthusiasm volcano, joyful disrupt nomadic soul. Like, that's great.
That's not helpful.
And expertise, community cat wrangler. Like, nobody's ever gonna search for community cat wrangler. Like, we can't. That's the most amazing bio description I ever read. But like, how do how do we actually connect people based on their interests?
Yeah.
Like,
so instead of giving.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I believe, like, instead of just like giving an open text for anyone to write anything, probably it needs to be some options which they select, right? I don't know what exactly it's called in MIT Networks. I choose artificial intelligence as my core expertise. So something to pick from a list, right? So that can help.
Yeah, so the categorization on Mighty Networks, I think it's there is an element of flexibility to it. So it offers you a list of categories, and then you're also able to type in something different. So unless we have a consensus to use it in a very systematical way, it might not be the best way. So I'm just trying to think in terms of like which tool should have a specificity to it. And for me, for example, the Alumni Radar, because of the name and because of the fact that it has a map, I would imagine it to be just very pointedly for connecting people geographically, rather than being a way of, but you know, I might be wrong, but I think if it's trying to do too many things at the same time, then it might not achieve any. So I would see it as being, like, for me, the really powerful, for me, the power in this would be to know that if I have it, if I have the app and I have my email, if I'm going to London, I know that the boot campers in London will know that I'm there when I am there, and I will know where to look for them. And for me, like, that would be the great plus from this. And I would imagine that looking for matching expertise would happen elsewhere. But that's just because I either go and meet the boot camper because I'm going to London and I just want to meet up with other boot campers in London. And if I'm looking for someone who's going to help me with graphics, it's not necessarily tied with the fact that I'm traveling to London. It could be completely independent, because we could do lots of collaboration just via remote connecting, and that doesn't need to be tied to a physical meeting. So for me, like, these are two distinct areas, and it would be great to have both, but I'm just wondering whether trying to do two things with the same software might not get the best result. And I don't know, because I'm not a software developer, but I'm thinking, like, you might need to focus your effort on just one proposition that would then be honed and made, distilled until it's perfect, so that by the time we're all on the alumni radar, we know exactly that we're not going to be missing out on each other's movements. Because what's happening now is that we're kind of random posting into Facebook, we're posting sometimes on Mighty Networks. When we're lucky, the right person will read it at the right time and you'll be able to connect. But many times I think the post is either lost or the wrong person sees it, or when the person reads it, it's too late and it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents.
Oh yeah, this is great. Actually, I mean, Rachel, you gave me an idea. So why don't we put some game in it? We gamify it, and we can sort of like a Pokemon Go for boot campers. So I mean, basically, the only thing which mattered there is the other boot camper you had met, because it would be nice to say, okay, Rachel, and she met me in Rome, and maybe we can also put a selfie there. And so, I mean, the more boot camper you reach, the more badge, you're like community, like Pokemon Go for boot campers, because there is a map, and people love to play stuff. And so if maybe it could be just to, but I think you already differentiate, if you have CEO, professional, maybe it could be, I don't know, if you're a developer, a designer, or a business. So like macro differentiation, just, could be a badge next to your name. But then like you are going to collect badges, because the more boot camper you catch, the more you go up in the list.
That's such a good idea, actually. I love it.
Yeah, that's an amazing idea.
So if I could jump in. Sorry, I think I have a bit of a lag. Great idea in terms of the connecting people locally. When you're visiting, and I think it is a pain point. When I moved to Singapore, it was a challenge. So definitely the pain point is there. But one of the challenges I feel is there is an overwhelming number of apps we end up having on our phones and all. And right before this, I had 3 hours back, I was in another brainstorming session, and they were trying to come up with a social networking app for banks. And that was one of the resounding sentiment that kept coming up, that there already are so many different things that they have to use. And then using another app or something like that will end up not getting used. So what are the thoughts on that? How does one consolidate this reality as well, right? That there are limited number of attention that we can distribute amongst apps, and the stickiness, how do you ensure just like at the right time, just like Rachel just said, if you don't see it, you will not just miss it out, right? And I've been having that challenge even with Mighty Network as well at times already, right? So curious to see what your thoughts are on that. How does one ensure that it's not out of sight, out of mind kind of an app?
So I actually try to build that in when planning this, and the way it does it, every time someone travels in a certain location, and that's part of the reason why it sort of forces you to tell where you are or where you're traveling, is to be able to notify everyone who the application knows. So people don't have to use it, so to speak. You don't have to log in, or you don't have to install to use it. You're using it just passively by being registered. You start getting the emails from the application when someone's traveling. So I expected that sort of, I don't have like KPIs like Facebook. I can do the opposite, right? My goal was to make an application that nobody actually uses, maybe other than 3 or 4 times in a year, just to not tell people when you're traveling or when your situation changes or something like that. And most of the time you use it just by reading your normal mailbox.
So do you mean it would just be like dormant in our cell phone, and then we if I have this app on my phone, and
well, it's even a website, right? You don't even have to install it. You don't even have that.
Oh.
So it's just a website that you use.
Right. So the notification would come via email, or how? Just the
Correct.
email?
The email, yes.
Hmm.
Because I think like personally, I feel that a lot of people we sort of lose as a community who are just being busy and not able to participate in apps or in social groups or anything like that. And some people don't have time for that. Some people don't like it, but they're not bad people. They might be, you know, some of the best people they have. And like personally, I'm not able to read the newsfeed in Mighty Networks or Facebook group. It's just not feasible to do that. Like for me, and especially with like Facebook algorithms, it just hides two-thirds of it.
So, so the good functioning of this would just depend on whether people actually read their email, correct?
Correct. Just having the completeness of the database. So the more you have, the more people get those notifications, because it knows more people in a certain place when someone travels, and that way people get reminded that there is this application where you can find people.
Right.
I assume there might be like automatic notifications asking to update profile if it changed, if you haven't used it for a year, but I don't want it to consume people's time. It's the opposite of that.
Hey, Pavel, it's Gabriel.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, I was listening to you guys. We were talking about the authentication in the beginning, and I had an idea, about taking a photo of the picture of the certificate and having that, as a proof. But then, a good thing, an idea would be to send that photo to, or the photo or whatever, the name of the person, to 5 emails of 5 different people that participated in the same class as that person was saying, and then at least 2 people would have to just confirm that that person was really in the class, and then that's it. That might be way simpler and get the job done.
Yeah, Gagan posted that.
Yeah, Gagan posted that. Yeah.
Hi, Gabriel. We had the same idea.
I'm actually on my phone, so I haven't been reading the conversations here.
Yeah, well, great minds think alike, right?
Yeah, I want to say something. Like if we get to that notification part, so somebody might miss the emails also. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm right. If we can go with the progressive web app, which will show that we don't have to install the application. It will work as a website only, but it will show a push notification from the Chrome itself. So, what do you guys think about it?
I also agree that depending on someone's email inflow, it could also get drowned in the volume of information receiving. So either, like the question we have, how can you make the email really pop out? Or does that need those notification?
I would actually suggest, keeping the goal of Pavel not making it an app, I would actually go to an SMS on people's phone, because this will be like once in a while, very rarely. I think it's okay. People get an SMS saying, okay, we have this person visiting you.
Just an idea. The SMS. I personally don't read an SMS. I receive like 50 SMSs of marketing on my phone, so I just don't even see them. So maybe I think the email would be the simplest one, and it wouldn't bring any additional cost to the whole platform, right? Because I think if we send us SMS, there's a cost associated to it. So I don't know.
I'm sort of wondering, like, beyond just the connecting alumni, I'm just trying to imagine, right? So if this is going to be used 3 or 4 times a year, or you know, as many times as I will plan to travel, say in 2020, I'm wondering, would this be enough to just, I'm going to Paris and I get this notification, but if I'm not in a community feeling, like, would I feel comfortable reaching out to someone whom I'm just trying to think, like, how much needs to be behind this as well, in terms of the underlying assumption that I want to meet someone. And so how do we reinforce also the community beyond just the meeting? So I guess the assumption is a boot camper will always look for other boot campers and want to meet up. But I'm wondering, like, does the actual, just the email thing reduce it too much? Because if I see someone on Facebook saying, oh, I'll be in Rome, who's in Rome? I can click and I can check, you know, their pictures, and I can kind of know which boot camp they were from. And there's just all of that warm data that I'm wondering, would that be lost in just an email summary? And would that become maybe a slight obstacle to me getting the feeling of wanting to reach out? I don't know, it's a rhetorical question, but I'm putting it out there because I'm just imagining receiving an email.
Oh, Rachel, absolutely, yes. Like that's why I was sort of raising that topic, that we need to figure a way, and that doesn't have to originate from the bootcamp Radar as an application. So it might need to come from, I know, Mighty Networks, wherever that could be. But we need to find a way to be able to get people to sort of say who they are and what they're doing in a way that would make other people want to meet them. And I even think, like, as you saying with that graphics designer example, right? You might want to, if you're looking for a graphics designer, like, you want to look towards other professionals who are boot campers as well. Like how, like, not necessarily this application, but like in a bigger vision, how can we sort of build upon the bootcamp values and expand that network even further, right? Again, like I'm sort of intentionally steering that away from Alumni Radar because it's a very simple application. It does one thing, it does it kind of okay right now. It will do it better. And I just, you know, if we're here on this call, I want to take this opportunity to steer the discussion, because like even within boot campus, there are people with very different interests, and I don't know, like someone who's doing one thing might not be interested in someone's doing different thing. And especially, like, you know, if I come to New York, I probably wouldn't have, I wouldn't have time to meet every boot camp there if I wanted to, right? So it has to be, it's always has to be based. And I also don't want the boot camp alumni community to become kind of self-centered, because I think a lot of people move forward and we need to support that rather than kind of focusing on past experiences, right? Who you are now. That's I think what's essential for people to be able to tell about themselves.
Hey Pavel, I just signed up. I just actually completed my my profile, and I was wondering, what Rachel mentioned is very important actually. What if you added, I noticed you had the LinkedIn. Person could fill out their LinkedIn profile, their Twitter profile, maybe adding like Instagram and Facebook, which has more images, would let people. Great idea. And then once the person was traveling, it would send the notification with actually their profile links to these, like to Facebook and Instagram, so people could actually go on to that and, see pictures and, and actually see if that person is actually someone that maybe is, is interesting to meet up, so that might be an idea.
Oh, thank you. I think that's a great idea.
I'm also wondering, like, can we create like a container with videos, like really short videos, but that might be complex. So I'm thinking another thing we're trying to build out with a group of alumni is to to actually create a profile article on each bootcamper. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but it, like, ideally we should each have a profile article, which I also understand if you want to zoom in on just one specific aspect, like I'm looking for a web developer, like a website developer, you don't want to be reading through an article. But what we could do is that layer by layer, if we one day have a mapping of, say, 300 of the alumni, and we're trying to build this out on Medium through articles and creating interviews, then you would know in the article you have the story of that person with a certain set of questions, so you could actually read about them and get to know about them, and there would be pictures. And there's so far we've always also created like a short video recording that is then edited, so you have 5 minutes to watch you know, how that person speaks. And maybe what we could then add is just like a card at the beginning or at the end of the article where we have the main points, and then if that could be linked back into the radar profiles, that would become helpful, because we would then have, it would be like an onion, we could peel the layers and dig in as deep as we want, so we could at one glance have like very summary information, just the main expertise, where they're located, and you know, what their, you know, what their skills are. And then if you feel like you want to know the person better, then you could read the article, you could watch the video, and there would be different degrees of getting to know the person. But this would take time to build, and it's also to do with how much people are willing to disclose about themselves, because I can also imagine some people not wanting to be the subject of an article. That could be also, yeah. So we're at the top of the hour. We have to kind of wrap it up. So any closing comments you'd like to make about this, and what could be the next steps? I think it'd be important to kind of just see whether we can give Pavel inputs on what could be the next steps, and maybe you can also say whether any clarity has come out of this for you now or later.
So for me, I see that we need more tools to make this community more lively, because we are using Facebook, we are using Mighty Networks, and we are certainly missing some crucial tools to do everything. And I don't know if it has to be one platform or multiple platforms, but what Pavel has generated is just one feature of it. So he was very specific with what he was trying to do, is just to give this radar where you can find out other alumni who is visiting nearby places. But there is still more, a lot more we might need, like the kind of events which we are trying to run, the profiling, what Rachel mentioned, local meetups. So probably all of these can come together, and we might need a solution, something like that. So yeah, that's what I feel. So we'll have to probably dig deep and understand what are those tools we need, and what in line with what we are trying to achieve as a community.
Yeah, so there are many ways of representing, because Jashan was just sharing this, right? He said, like, how about something like this? But Pavel said this is kind of, is this too vague, Pavel?
Well, first of all, too vague, right? Because and it's too vague geographically, it's too vague in terms of, so like in this particular example, it sounds like those people are in professional occupations, but you could be project manager who's like managing 2 persons, or it could be project manager who manages, you know, $1 billion contract in energy. And the project manager, like even that you cannot use as a measure on itself, because say someone who manages $1 billion contract in manager might have nothing to do with someone who manages $1 billion project construction.
But for example, just finish, Pavel.
No, I actually finished. Go ahead.
I wanted to say, for me, that was a good idea, because I'm a doctor, and if I want to search for a software developer, I would use this tool. And if you look for a doctor, you would find me in a health field. So maybe it's not specific, the image that Jashan sent to us, but something that would be useful for me. If I'm going to London and I want to meet a software developer, and if I want to be the graphic designer.
Right, you mean like high level field of.
Yeah. yeah, for me it's kind of
that sounds good actually. That might be good.
I'm also wondering, like, are we making assumptions on, maybe we should also look into and try to research what have been the actual connections between various boot campers and what have been the actual collaborations that have derived from it, because maybe we are just working on the assumption that two boot campers are going to connect and want to work with each other, but maybe I meet up with a boot camper who has a medical expertise that perfectly fits my needs, but for some reason, you know, it's not going to work out. So statistically, has this been happening, and is this actually verified, or is it just like a fantasy that we have? Like, what is the statistic probability? Yeah.
I went to a boot camp in June, the Healthcare Innovation Boot Camp, and two people contacted me because I'm a doctor and they wanted to know about my opinion of applications that they were doing. So I think it's maybe it's not, you don't receive an email every week, but sometimes it's useful.
Yeah. Yes, it's definitely a starting point for exploring possible.
Yeah. And I think, Rachel, like the problem with that research is, so for example, I remember we had a call, which I think you organized, and that was a guy from Australia. I don't remember his name, or Singapore maybe. But the point is, so he was telling how he was doing a, I think, social media marketing for retail companies, for like online B2C companies. And I was like, if I were to find exactly the same guy who's like doing B2B instead of B2C, that would be awesome, right? So maybe that connections don't happen in the number we would like for them to happen, simply because if we want someone professional, we have to search outside the network, because there's no way to find someone in the network. So like, but I kind of see your point and what you're saying with maybe people don't want to do that at all. That's entirely possible. I'm not discarding that. There's no real way of knowing that, I think.
No, well, we could probably on working, you know, going forward, we could build up also a database of what is actually leading to successful collaborations.
Oh,
that would take
yeah.
That would be interesting. Okay, so does everyone have Pavel's email address? He posted it. Let me just post it again in the chat. So please get in touch with him if you have any further ideas and inputs, and maybe down the line we could have another brainstorm, Pavel, if you think it would be useful.